Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting in spite of fear because freedom demands it. Charlie Kirk. Courage isn't defined by age, race, social status, or anything else. I got my start in pro-life advocacy when I was just 14 years old in 8th grade social studies class. My teacher was an incredibly left-leaning individual and thought that choosing the topic of abortion for our debate unit was safe because we were mostly all farm kids from the middle of nowhere. Apparently, that made us uneducated and unopinionated. What she didn't know is that I had been reading and studying prenatal stages of development in my mother's nursing textbooks since I was 6 years old. We had one class where we were debating, and she very quickly realized the direction I was taking, and then just as quickly decided the next class we were moving on to a different unit. In 2019, I saw the movie Unplanned, the story of Dr. Abby Johnson and how she became pro-life after having an abortion and working at Planned Parenthood. I realized in that moment that as much as I would say one day I would get involved in the pro-life movement, if I kept just saying one day, it would never actually happen. So I started the only place I knew. I started posting on Facebook. And then I decided I was going to start going into churches and doing pro-life education in churches. After months of research, posting, and educating, I realized the responses I got from the vast majority of Christians was the exact same thing repeated over and over and over again. I didn't know. Yet, when I was contacting churches about giving my educational presentation, or even just having a table in the back of the church to foster conversation, only about 10% of the churches were willing to host. The vast majority responded to me that they weren't interested in pursuing hosting a presentation educating people about abortion and the laws surrounding it, or they said abortion was just simply something they didn't talk about. So how does this translate to what is happening in the United States? Those that know me can attest to the fact that I am frequently heard to be saying, well, statistically. So in keeping with that tradition, I'm going to share with you some statistics about the American church and abortion from Pew Research. In 2019, only about 4% of churches in the United States spoke about abortion in passing in an 8-week period. Only 63% of evangelicals believe abortion should be illegal in most circumstances. Only 47% of Catholics are against abortion. Meanwhile, the church's stance as a whole is anti-abortion. And only 45% of those in the Orthodox Church believe abortion should be illegal. According to an article from Focus on the Family, here are 5 quoted reasons given as to why pastors and churches won't talk about abortion. 1, my congregation will think I'm being political. 2, I do not want to be pegged as a crazy right-wing conservative. 3, I feel inadequate to address the issue of abortion. 4, I'm already overwhelmed, and I know if I preach on the issue of abortion, it will open the floodgates of hurt and bondage, and I won't be able to handle the fallout of the sermon. And 5, I am afraid I will alienate and drive away women who have had abortions. The root cause that leads to answers like this is a lack of education. We can be educated and speak on an issue while still doing so in love. Hiding the truth out of fear is not Christ-like love. In fact, we are given a direct mandate in Proverbs 31:8 to speak out for the least of these. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. And if you know anything about late-stage abortions, crushed is exactly what happens to the skulls of these babies that are being murdered in their mother's wombs. The Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University conducted a study between August 26th and September 6th, 2024, concluding that 32% of people who regularly attend church services said they didn't hear any kind of sermon or teaching about the Bible's stand on specific issues, abortion being one of the primary ones. In addition, this study also concluded that 49% of people who identified as people of faith were unlikely to vote in the 2024 election. In the 2024 election, CI 128 passed, codifying abortion as a right into the Montana State Constitution. This happened as a direct result of people keeping silent. In the 2024 election, only 76% of eligible voters in the state of Montana actually voted. While I was doing all of this research, I wanted to know what the church and Christians' involvement was in politics prior to and leading up to and during the passing of Roe versus Wade in 1973. After researching several articles, past and present, they all gave me the exact same answer. Christians were largely indifferent, uninformed, and uninvolved in political issues. This is how they got Roe through. The feminists banked on Christians being uninvolved, uninformed, and unwilling. And Christians lived up to their expectations. In fact, Christians are still living up to those expectations. They call the right the silent majority. Imagine the impact and change that would occur if we became the vocal and loud majority. We would see the evils of abortion crumble so incredibly quickly. The theme of this year's March for Life is abortion, perceptions and realities. The unfortunate reality is that abortion is not only legal, but progressively advancing because good men and women have regularly kept silent, leading to the slaughter of 63 million of our preborn neighbors. Silence is not neutral. Not saying something is still saying something. Each one of us, each and every single one of us, regardless of age, has the ability and biblical duty to stand up and speak for the preborn. Let the words of William Wilberforce be our echoing battle cry as we go out from here today. Let it not be said that I was silent when they needed me.